What would you give, let's say, people who are trying to make this happen for themselves, where they can move and work remotely from one place to another? What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about this that hasn't done it for the first time? And so maybe they have a job that could be done remotely and they're theoretically allowed to do it from anywhere, or maybe they're trying to become a digital nomad, or maybe they have a remote business like somebody like myself who, has traveled a little bit while working and taken advantage of that, but not to the full extent. What tips would you give to people like that who are either by themselves or with a family?
Uh, I believe the best advice will be just try to imagine and make sure that your lifestyle will not be significantly affected. And for example, person which kind of used to work remote only will not get into the situation that after relocation you need to back to office kind of thing, which is happen pretty often right now
Yeah.
these days at some countries. So that's definitely something that people need to clarify before the relocation. And definitely the taxes, the climate is a big thing. So it's better to kind of go there, just spend a few weeks in the most harsh season and make sure that we will not have any issues for that. I previously went to Canada, so I did not have any issues with winter, but my family never came here before, and they were surprised about my climate. But my daughter actually loved the snow, so on the second winter, we were pretty happy to have that.
And are the winters worse here in Canada compared to, let's say, Ukraine?
Actually, it's not worse, and I really like the snow. It's more snow here, so it really feels like a winter. But when it gets too cold, it's a bit surprising because when it's minus 30, minus 25, it's not something you will see in Europe, definitely.
Yeah, okay, I guess so. Yeah, we're told our winters are pretty much there. Now, what would you give to somebody who would like to know more about your side interest outside of work, which would be, learning about the economy, becoming an investor, investing in certain types of assets like crypto and things like that? What would be a first sort of a recommendation that you would give to somebody, let's say right now, who is interested in dabbling in it, and maybe has been dabbling or thinking about it for a while in becoming sort of an independent, financially free person through investing? Should they, first of all, have that as an objective, or should they focus more on just their career and savings? And then from there, how do they navigate all these millions of types of different assets and cryptocurrencies, as well as the macro economy? And that's like a huge bunch of questions that I just gave you at once, but I want to sort of give it to you in a sort of a general way so you can unpack it in whatever way you choose.
Yeah, and I believe I'll just unpack it in kind of the storytelling manner because my focus on the finance and economy started from the pretty big crash. I had a small business in 2000s, and I was focusing on web development and the city animation. And actually, real estate was built everywhere. So the 3D visualizations, 3D photorealistic interior, exterior things were pretty popular there. So I had a small team, and the business was great. But then 2008 happened, and I was like, okay, what happened? Why I don't have any contracts? Why I don't have any money? Why do I want to put everything from my pocket to pay the vehicle? And actually, unfortunately, Elon let them go. Uh, and then I started thinking that I do not know anything about the world, how it works, how it operates, and what is the money, because we use money like since we were, but nobody knows how money created. And that was pretty big philosophical question to me, so I started to dive deeper to that. Then I refocused myself to the markets and started trading somewhere 2010 or 2009. And reading, just diving there. I I've spent hours. It was my biggest passion. And then I realized that economy is not something new. It's a pretty old thing. So I also learned history pretty good. And after that, I started looking for trends, and actually, it resulted in the understanding that the main thing is the perception of value. What makes the value right now? Because in case we will look 100 years ago, what was the value? The radar technology was the value, right?
The value, right?
Value, yeah.
Value, okay.
Sorry, I'm pronouncing that not correct. Yeah, and 200 years ago, the gold was the main value. I don't know, 30 years ago, the operation systems like Windows 95, Windows 98 was the main value for the world. And what is the value right now? So generally, in case we'll put that chart, invest into your education first and try to empathize the world, understand how the world works, how the economy works. And then you will start seeing the technology, solutions, stocks, sometimes bonds, which worth attention. Because you do not buy an asset, you buy your understanding of the forecasting reason to grow in the future.
Okay, so you're not buying today's whatever.
No,
you're buying tomorrow's whatever, and you're trying to be a bit insightful and forward-thinking and forward-looking in whatever your asset mix is based on current, this current situation. We'll call them the current macroeconomic factors, and you would really try to pick at them and almost like predict the future without somehow speculating.
Yes.
It sounds simple, right? Well, to us, but hopefully to everybody that's paying attention here. But it's not as easy as it seems necessarily all the time. So how can people sort of educate themselves? Where do you go to start learning about all things that are, printing money, inflation, interest rates, economy, CPI, like where do they go to sort of educate themselves and learn from this wealth of information and these trends and this sort of these historical patterns that tend to repeat themselves? What can a person like me or anybody who's maybe a small business owner or looking to get invested in something or start their own business or become an investor and start picking asset classes that they allocate their funds towards, where's a good starting point?
The good starting point, I believe, will be just one simple question, and it will be, why do I need money? Because in case somebody needs money just because of greed or just because of desire to spend it for something, it's kind of the trap thing. It's death spiral. But in case somebody needs money to create something, be creative, bring something new into the world, then this people is already passionate. In case you have passion, you can dive deeper into the next question. And this question will be, what is money?
Okay, so let's rewind a little bit to the first one, which seems to me like figuring out what actually you would like to do in life, which money will allow you to do. And then once you've established that, you can label that as your passion, your mission, your objective, your life purpose, or whatever it is, right? And then once you've wrapped your head around that one, which is an important big question, and I think it makes complete sense, because if you figure out something that could somehow be monetized, which you're, and we have a whole other video about that, which I'm going to link to from this video. Basically, you're telling me the next step would be to understand what that funds gasoline in the car or the electricity, if you will, electric vehicle is that will stimulate and get you from point A to point B. But you have to understand the material itself and the roadblocks that are going to sort of be paved out and laid out to get you to your destination. Is that sort of what I'm hearing?
That's sort of that, but I believe it's even bigger than that because, like, for example, how you will value the technology of Telegraph? Recall the small thing to like 10 signals.
How would I value it right now?
Not right now. At the time it was invented.
Oh, at the time, well, I mean, it's a completely different story, right? That's an important thing, an important distinction. I mean, grandfather worked in like Morse code and stuff like that, which he was well paid to do, and he, retired off of that. So, at the time, it was a key thing. It was the difference between winning or losing a battle when there was a war, right? So, telegraph. I mean, I don't know exactly how that was particularly implemented. Maybe you can give us some insights on that.
Yeah. So generally, telegraph technology was one of the stepping stones and kind of the main reasons why the Great Britain became so big, and it was an empire which never had the sunset, never observed that because they had countries under their flag all over the world. And the reason of that was the speed of the information. So before the telegraph invention, in case you needed to send a message, for example, to Delhi, and it took weeks. With telegraph, any message took 1 or 2 days. So just imagine how it can help you to manage and communicate with different regions in the world.
Yeah.
And it's strengthened the government, the authority, and actually a lot of people which understood that when it was just invented became pretty rich for generations.
Of course, yeah, that makes all the difference. Like I was at the bank the other day and I had a few choices on how to send money. And I was looking at bank draft versus wire transfer, and wire was much faster than, bank draft. So I had a specific time requirement, and that made all the difference for me. So I guess it's the same type of situation with that, and even more implications actually maybe. But yeah, basically, how does somebody latch on to this idea and help? How would this help them direct themselves towards their financial goals per se?
Because the reason one they will have the financial benefits will be the value that they will bring to the market.
Okay, so
it can be the value of their services, the value of their products, some kind of the differentiator. And to be better than somebody, you need to understand the environment. So that's why you need to be able to perceive value, to measure that, and completely understand the environment where this new thing will be utilized.
Okay,
and
so I guess
I would let. Yeah,
sorry. I was going to say, so it will allow them to identify opportunities, right? In this.
Sure.
Okay, I see.
And I would like to swing a bit to the suggestions. And in case somebody will be interested in the kind of improving the way to define value, I would suggest read the book of Mariana Mazzucato, The Value of Everything, Making Taking in Global Economy. Because actually anything that's ever created and available in the global economy, whether making value, bringing something new, or taking value, like fees.
Yeah, the world has gotten very good at that, hasn't it?
Unfortunately.
Okay, so how do you stand out? How do you get to a place where you've analyzed enough that you can sort of pinpoint your direction, whether you're starting a business or whether you're choosing your investment journey? I mean, isn't one of the first things that I understood as an investor, and that was back in the day when I started to first work with an advisor, was to figure out your sort of risk tolerance. Is that a big one?
Risk tolerance is something related more not only to the financial markets, but to the kind of the self-understanding. So how deep you can fall if you want to. And definitely people need to define that before they start playing, whether it's the game or an investment, which is actually almost the same game. Just after the inception of Bitcoin, and I was like, oh, it's a stupid idea. It's a fake market. Who will need that? No, no, no. And I just banned myself to buy that. And it was a pretty big opportunity. And then when Bitcoin pumped up to me 1,000 something, back in the days, I was like, oh, how stupid I was, why I was so like pre-adjusted about that. And I started thinking, at which moment I made the decision not to buy that, and what was the reason of that. So I empathized that decision, and actually came to the result that the main issue was myself. I was too arrogant, thinking that I know better, that something new will not be accepted by the world. And I started learning why I was thinking like that and what I need to change. So I learned that lesson and defined the value of crypto in the big 2010s, so around 2015 or 16. And actually, the next good season, I had some pretty good results and holdings in the time.
Okay, so what do you attribute your change in mentality? I mean, what was it that just got you to decide what to actually put yourself on it and make it happen?
Well, it's just a simple thing. Life is a game, so just level up your character. If you lost, okay, just get to the root cause of that, learn from this, and next time you will win.
Okay, so you didn't get hung up on the fact that you missed out on, a certain period of gains, right? Since inception, you said, all right, I'm going to learn from this and I'm going to actually put my money where my mouth or my brain is and go ahead and take that first step towards your investment journey.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I like to creating. And in Ukraine, I built a house. I have a few apartments, and I still do not worry about that because, unfortunately, those assets I cannot have them, and thank God those assets still exist, but nobody will tell you how will it be. So I may lose them. But I still think it was the right decision because I was so happy to spend time in those houses. So the emotions are also a good thing. You just need to be happy in your game.
Okay, so how do you pick the right game for you, other than, let's say, figuring out things that you like? Because let's just say you're one of those people. I met a few people, and they were sort of at an interface with their career. And I said, so you're done with your past career. What are you doing now? And they said, well, I'm interested in everything. And I'm interested in absolutely everything. There's nothing that I'm not interested in. Whereas, myself, I have very specific interests. I am interested in growing and learning overall, but I have certain things that I've already found that I definitely know that I'm good at, that I like, where I excel, where I can spend a lot of time and not be bothered working or not working. But I think there's a lot of people out there that haven't gotten to that place or haven't figured out what type of asset they're gravitating towards. And it's just kind of like overwhelming. Like, okay, there's real estate, there's gold, there's stocks, there's cash, there's, dividends, there's non-dividends, there's funds, how do you navigate this spectrum of options, especially once you dive deeper and let's just pretend you pick crypto as an asset. And then within that, there's a whole other bunch of assets, right? There's like stable coins, which are, I guess, based off of the US dollar, right? Are sort of like integrated with the US dollar somehow. And then you have, altcoins, right? That's another whole other class. And then you have the big ones, you have Bitcoin and you have Ethereum and stuff like that. And then you have NFTs, which is a whole other segment of that type of investing. So how do you sort of navigate the landscape of all these sort of scary, big, hairy kind of options?
As I technology, uh, it makes sense to focus on something which kind of the trendsetter and attract big amount of attention all over the world. So there will be new coins, tokens, new stocks on the stock markets every day. There will be new opportunities in different countries, and they will appear all the time. But you need to understand what's the main asset which is growing and which are kind of dependent assets, which kind of trying to stick to that and the growing industry, and just focus on that. In the crypto world, it will be the major coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, kind of trendsetter for the industry, and a bunch of the new stuff, because it's pretty big infrastructure which already exists for the last few years. In the stock markets, it will be the energy market, because in case you will dive deeper into that, you will realize that the best time to buy the energy stocks was the time when all the news told people not to buy them. It was the good time.
Yeah, I remember that. That was like Canadian Natural Resources, I think, was trading below like $15 or something like that. And it's at like, I don't know what it's at right now, 40, 50, 60 something plus dollars. I haven't checked it in a very long time, but anyhow, it's definitely double, triple, quadruple since the lows, maybe even more. So yeah, it's a good thing, I guess, to follow the media and try to figure out what they're heating on, which will inevitably come back with time. So I think there's a point where now retail has been suffering a lot. So a lot of companies, big companies, including Nike and Starbucks and things like that, have been hit from this sort of squeeze with all the interest rates and the over inventory that they have. They have high inventory, excess inventory. There's inflation. There's a whole bunch of reasons why they're struggling right now, and why people are cutting on their spending. So that could be potentially another opportunity. What other specific opportunities would you be eyeing right now, without providing any financial advice, of course, but just ideas maybe that you've had and things that you've seen, or any trends that you've spotted recently? Because I know you mentioned that the crypto market sort of is a bit hot right now. It might be a little bit overheated. You mentioned last time we spoke. I don't know if you think that's changed. I mean, it could still be a good long-term opportunity, but what are you looking at right now?
Currently, I look into the exchange rate of the currencies, because it's kind of a tectonical shift there. And a few weeks ago, the Japanese yen got significantly weaker, and there was reason behind that. So definitely it makes sense to the people to look closer to the M0, M1 metrics, and definitely understand how the global trade and trade balance in different countries.
What couple of takeaways or main takeaway would you give to any type of investor entering a new investment journey right now, if you had to summarize it up?
Be happy, invest in yourself at first. Make sure you understand the world, and make sure you have passion and still enjoy it. And it will be good to ask just one question. If you will lose everything tomorrow, will you be happy with everything that you have just with you? Like all the knowledge, or maybe some easy to move assets and other things.
That makes total sense, Mikhail. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us. Very valuable for our watchers.